Okay, I'm just halfway through a meal and my mouth is still watering, but I still wanted to. I just wanted to talk about a few things. I haven't made a video in a while, and a lot has gone down. So I'll start with the Australian federal election, and basically, the coalition will be back in power, or is back in power. They underperformed. Even optimists believe they have underperformed, and some people were even thinking they might lose this election, and Labor and the Greens could form a minority government. That, in my opinion, would have been a good thing. I think Labor, and particularly the Greens, have the best policies. I just want to say that I have some friends who are Labor, who identify with Labor, and I dare say they play the identity politics game, who believe that this is actually a good thing because whomever got into power, oh my meal, whomever got into power is going to have so much trouble getting anything passed through the Senate. I think in some ways, I mean, he's almost right, but I think he's just rationalizing half. Okay, I've revealed the gender of the person, but this person is just rationalizing the defeat because, I mean, the two most pressing issues facing Australia right now, in my opinion, well, I guess the foremost. I made videos about these before, but climate change. I assume some kind of climate change policy will pass, and it will not be enough if anything passes. But we do need to pass bold, progressive climate change policy, and it's not going to pass. So that's a bad thing, or at least a version of it that's bold and progressive enough will not pass. And the other thing is the NBN. So had Labor and Greens formed a minority government, and particularly if the Greens had managed to pick up a couple more seats, then we possibly could have gotten much better, more effective NBN, which would be better for businesses, better for communities, better for remote and rural areas. Like, the NBN is one of the biggest issues of our time, and we're now going to be hamstrung by a slower NBN, which is almost adequate for today's needs, but is going to need to be rebuilt in the future. So I'm very upset about that. Probably no matter who got into power, we were still going to be lagging behind on human rights and refugees. I believe we need onshore processing. I believe it'll be cheaper and more humane, and it's the right thing to do. And I think Labor would have needed, I think for that to even be a possibility, even then I don't think so, we would have needed Labor to have a minority government and the Greens to hold at least 3 seats in that minority government. And the Greens narrowly missed out on 5 seats. They came extremely close in 3 seats. And I think that, to me, for me, that was the big disappointment. They didn't pick up more seats and have more bargaining power in issues of climate change and human rights and NBN and basically anything. I think when the Greens have some leverage, I think it's probably a good thing. I know in the past they shut down our biggest attempt at a carbon tax, but I mean, they do have new leadership now, and I would really like to see the Labor Party in power working with them in a coalition. So that's my opinion. I do not think it's a good thing that the coalition are back in power, even if it means Labor will be guaranteed to win the next election. I think there's even a chance that the coalition, as they are today, will never see power again. I mean, it was their lowest ever under 30 voter approval or vote, and I think as younger generations come through, they're just going to move further and further away from, that kind of neoliberalism, that kind of pro-capitalism, tax cuts for the rich, ignore the poor, ignore the sociological effects, and benefit the wealthy and the few, and individualism, I guess I should call it, that the Liberal Party more promotes. So that's how I see it, and I think what we all need to do is get more involved in communities, join political parties, start YouTube channels, get more active on social media, and get progressive views out there even further. And even no matter who had won, if Labor had won, if the Greens had won 5 seats, it doesn't matter. I think we all need to be getting involved in the community and becoming more political and going outside the avenues of mainstream media to get our political points across. At least so we can have a discussion and we're not so divided all the time. That's how I see it. So, bad news, we lost the election. Good news that the the coalition have lost their mandate, and in this world, which is becoming increasingly more divided, and I'll probably make videos about that, and about Brexit, and about the Trump phenomenon, it's good to see Australia seemingly shifting a little bit to the left. And I hope that continues, and I'm going to do my part, at least, to ensure that continues. So, disappointing result. We can just deal with what we have and try to improve from here and do the best we can. So, yeah, that's the way I see it.